The rain poured heavily over the glass mansion that stood like a silent monument of wealth and loneliness. Inside, Adrian Knight, the city's youngest millionaire, sat by his mother's bedside, holding her frail hand as she smiled weakly. "All I want before I go," she whispered, "is to see you happily married, Adrian." Her voice cracked, but her eyes glowed with hope, and in that moment, he made a promise that would change everything, even though he had no love left to give. The problem was, Adrian didn't believe in love anymore. Betrayed once, he had buried that part of his heart behind walls of steel and silence. But his mother's health was fading faster each day, and the doctor had said stress could make it worse. So, when his loyal assistant, Daniel, suggested finding someone to pretend to be his bride just to ease his mother's heart, Adrian reluctantly agreed. That's how Alara came into his life, a woman who looked nothing like the world he lived in. She wasn't polished, wasn't rich, and she certainly wasn't pretending for fame or money. She only agreed for one reason, and one condition. "I'll be your pretend bride," she said, her soft voice steady, "but you must promise to fund the children's home where I grew up. No contracts, no lies to hurt anyone else, and no touching hearts that aren't meant to be touched." Her honesty stunned him. Most people wanted his money or his name, but she wanted nothing for herself. Maybe that's why, when she walked into his mother's hospital room dressed in a simple ivory gown and nervous smile, his mother's eyes filled with tears of joy. For the first time in months, she laughed again, and that alone made the act worth it. Days turned into weeks, and the pretend marriage became a beautiful lie everyone believed. His mother would watch them from her wheelchair, smiling at how perfect they looked together. Adrian started noticing small things, the way Alara always stopped to talk to the hospital janitor, the way she prayed silently before meals, the way she cared for his mother as if she were her own. Slowly, his walls began to crack, but feelings were dangerous, and he reminded himself of the rule, no hearts involved. Still, one evening, he found her sitting by the piano, her fingers tracing the keys softly. "You look like someone who's carrying the world alone," he said quietly. She smiled sadly. "Aren't we all?" Something inside him shifted. For years, his wealth had filled rooms but emptied his soul. Yet with Alara, silence felt peaceful. She didn't want his empire, his power, she wanted him to remember what kindness felt like. The night before his mother's birthday, Adrian overheard Alara talking to a nurse. "Once she's better," she said softly, "I'll leave. I never meant to stay longer than needed." Her words hit him harder than he expected. That night, for the first time, Adrian couldn't sleep. He realized he didn't just need her to save his mother, he needed her to save him. The next day, as his mother's birthday celebration filled the mansion with laughter and music, Adrian stood with Alara, his heart pounding. His mother, glowing with happiness, said, "My last wish is to see you both take your vows, properly this time." Everyone clapped. The priest smiled. Adrian turned to Alara, and for a second, time froze. She looked up at him, eyes trembling. "Adrian," she whispered, "remember the condition." But he couldn't. "Not anymore." "I know," he said softly. "But I've broken it already. You told me not to touch hearts that aren't meant to be touched, yet here I am, loving you for real." The crowd gasped. His mother cried, and Alara, she stood frozen, torn between her promise and her heart. Later that night, as the mansion grew quiet, Alara packed her small bag. Adrian found her standing by the doorway, tears glistening in her eyes. "I never meant to fall in love," she said, "I just wanted your mother to smile again. But I can't stay where love began with a lie." He stepped closer, his voice low. "Then stay for the truth." She looked at him, truly looked, and for the first time, saw not the millionaire everyone admired, but a man finally brave enough to love again. Months passed. His mother recovered enough to walk again, often visiting the children's home that now stood taller and brighter, funded by Adrian, just as promised. And one spring afternoon, as the kids ran around laughing, Alara returned, wearing the same simple white dress, her smile softer this time. Adrian walked toward her, his eyes never leaving hers. "So," he said quietly, "this time, no pretending." She shook her head, tears falling like sunlight. "This time, it's real." And when they kissed, surrounded by the laughter of children and the gentle warmth of the sun, it wasn't just the story of a millionaire and a pretend bride. It was a story of healing, of promises kept, and of hearts that finally found home in the most unexpected lie that became the truest love of all.